turn it up.
So for you people watching on YouTube TV, Super Talk TV, Glenn Campbell, what is this called?
Wichita lineman.
The Wichita lineman? All right, there you go. You know who used to love Glenn Campbell?
Me?
My mother. I remember as a kid, there were two country stars that my mom loved, Glenn Campbell and John Denver. And so I blocked them out of my memory, to be honest with you, but whatever. Very nice. Thank you. Wichita lineman Glenn Campbell. So we had a whistleblower, if you will, call up. He didn't want to go on the air, and he doesn't even want the last four digits of his number read on the air. He doesn't want to lose his gig, but apparently, Sam, he works for NES, and you spent an inordinate amount of time getting some intel from him. And he called up and he said, get a pen and a piece of paper and start writing. And so go ahead.
Yeah. So his biggest point is that it's not feasible to get this amount of people working. Trying to get people working as fast as possible is their main issue. And they're leaving these lines off in certain places so that they can, kind of hit the broader infrastructure first. Then they get the power back on. That's when these texts come out of an automated system that'll say in an area of, let's say, 5,000 homes. That was the example he gave me. Well, okay, the power's back on in your area. Then they find out from later reporting from the individual customers, well, no, my power's not back on. So you may have hit an area of 5,000 homes, but 500 people within that area still don't have power. So that's where the confusion's coming in.
Right.
He also said it's really hard to refuse contractor offers if they never come in. So that's another thing he hit on. But the main frustration is that they are full-time understaffed. And his comparison, the NES came about in 1939. It had about 400 to 500 employees. The workable population back then of homes with electricity, according to him, was about 40,000, if I heard that correctly. Today, we're sitting at 500,000, and we only have merely doubled the full-time employee base to about 900. Only 160 of those are linemen. And then he said another important note, from Monday to Thursday, the night shift, there's only 4 linemen on staff, and it's been this way for years. He also says one of the biggest issues is that the trees are the main culprit in this outage. It's become a national embarrassment, according to him, as far as the standard goes. And every other utility in the surrounding areas trims their trees from the ground up. But the tree huggers out here, his words, they're so concerned with their trees that they don't want them touched for the beauty of things.
Remember what I was talking about, Joan?
And it's been that way for 30 to 40 years. This has been a process in the making because trees grow slowly over time. And if you're not constantly trimming, things get out of control. So this has all just been a crap storm that has just taken years to build to this point, and it should highlight the underpreparedness, according to him.
I thought it was an ice storm. Not a crap storm. It was an ice storm. Whatever. All right. So so the main thing that I took away from that is that 1939, NES had a certain number of employees that was appropriate for the working population at that time. And now, I mean, I don't even know, it's multiplied many, many times. But proportionally, we have not seen a rise in the number of employees to be able to take care of that grid. That's what I heard, right? Okay. Do the math. This is why Sam hates me. Hey, do the math, Sam. So figure out how much Nashville's population has grown since 1939, percentage-wise, and then maybe we can figure out how much percentage-wise they have increased their staffing at NES.
I can tell you, just off the top of my head.
Okay.
Population in 1939 of the Nashville Metro Davidson area was 167,000. Today, it's about 2.1 million. So roughly 2 million people in the last 80 years.
Okay.
And then the homes have, again, with power, have continued over the years to just add on tens of thousands every few years.
Right.
But we've only doubled the workforce in that time.
So clearly it sounds like an issue.
Yeah.
According to this guy, it sounds like an issue. So if we can't get a hold of, we can't find the number for Brent Baker. Obviously, Murphy Show is I bet you Matt's going to have him on today. He was supposed to be on yesterday, Brent Baker with NES. And he was supposed to be on Matt's show yesterday, and he had to cancel. Hopefully, Matt will have him on today. and they'll be able to figure some of this stuff out. Do you want to hear? Oh, go ahead, Joan.
Do you know what this kind of reminds me? A portion of that kind of reminds me of that the tree huggers issue and not trimming branches out in the West in California. And Dan, you probably could attest to this. They don't do enough trimming in the forest or the burns, the controlled burns, to get rid of the underbrush.
Right.
And that's why they have these devastating fires.
Yeah.
But again, it's because there's so many people that just, they don't believe in, you set the fire, it's global warming, all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. They call it deforestation.
Yes.
And under Gavin Newsom, especially under Democrat reign, that stuff just doesn't get done. Now, I don't know if it's the tree huggers or if it's because there's just this cataclysmic corruption that's happening in California where the money's there, but it's not going to what it needs to go to, or if it's just incompetence. I mean, there's that too. So I don't know, but you're right,
There's a similarity there.
Well, yeah, Democrats. It's always the Democrats.
Yeah.
Like, it is always the Democrats.
Point of clarification to add on to that. One of the things he said, and if you've never had an experience with this, you don't know until it happens to you, but NES is only going to service from your street to the pole.
Right.
And the second it goes to if something on your house has come off, you have got to call an electrician and get that handled. And then they'll probably coordinate with NES. But there's going to be rolling blackouts over the next few days as they get sections repaired. And then they find out who's still without power. And it may be that someone, on the line, their box has come off the side of their house at their meter due to a tree branch or something. And they've got to get that fixed first before they can put the power back on.
I got a note from a lady named Leah last night, and I'm not going to say who her boyfriend is or whatever, but her boyfriend is an electrician and so forth, and she told me just exactly what you said, Sam, which is that oftentimes when you have these kind of power outages, then something happens to the home's electrical system as well. And so you may have gotten that text message that says that your power is back on, but the reality is that you may have an issue now with your home that you need to have repaired by an electrician. Mm-hmm. And Leah's boyfriend has been dealing with a lot of this. And so in her text to me, and it was a cut and paste from her Facebook page, so I don't think she was coming after me. But she says, a lot of people are blaming the lineman. I never did, and I don't think anybody on the station has. But a lot of people are coming after the lineman, and it's like, no, it's not the lineman. It's others that, number one, they don't recognize that they do have an issue with their home, and number two, people don't understand that if there's not enough linemen, then you don't take it out on the linemen that are there. You take that out on the people that are supposed to get the linemen in.
Yeah, he says management cares, and everyone that's out there working, obviously they care. They want to get this back on. He understands how critical it is that people have actively died as a result of this. And we've got another cold snap coming this weekend, and I could hear the urgency in his voice that, I know how badly he just wanted to let it be known who he was, but obviously he made it very clear this is his livelihood, his family depends on him.
Yep.
And it's a horrible situation to be caught in when you're exposed like this on a national scale. It's an embarrassment to him.
My mind still goes back to our caller yesterday. I think his name was Dave.
Mm-hmm.
The older gentleman who took his wife to stay with her son.
Oh yeah,
Kentucky, and his story and the absolute. He was desperate, desperation in his voice.
It's
it haunts me, and I just keep praying.
Well, it's not often that people call us and they're sharing their stories and they're breaking up in tears, because they are facing something that it's cataclysmic. It's haunting. Yeah. It's out of their control as well. And you are desperately waiting for the people that you depend on to get your power on. And I got to tell you, I'm probably going to buy a generator. But then you end up, and good for you.
But you end up in a situation like right now where they can't even get the gasoline in the trucks to come into Nashville. And if they can get it to Nashville, well, there's no electricity at the gas station, so they can't get it out of the ground. It's an impossible situation. It's impossible.
And the main message I got is it was a failure to prepare at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, he says that every other utility trims their trees from the ground to the sky, and we just worry about the branches. So when a 100-year-old tree falls over, regardless of where the branches have been trimmed, it's going to take out anything in its path.
All right, so Pamela Furr has texted me. Pamela, of course, been around here forever. She says that back in and Pamela, if you want to call in, you know the hotline number. If she wants to call in, she brings up a great point. There's Pamela. Joan, you and Pamela have met, of course.
Oh, yeah. We had lunch.
You've had lunch?
A couple times.
Okay, very good. Yeah. You guys talk about me at all? You guys talk about me at all?
You're like the whole topic of our conversation all the time, Dan.
I'm sure that I was. Pamela is, hey, Pamela, how are you?
Hi, girl.
I was just talking about you with Joan a few minutes ago.
I'm sure that you were. There's so much to say. Anyway, so you reminded me of, well, you're not reminding me, I didn't know this, but back in 1994, NES was out there blaming the trees?
Well, and it was the trees. I mean, it was the trees coming down on power lines, and that's why, some people were literally without power for a month. That's not a joke. In various areas, it was very bad, and so part of the conversation and the criticism was, why haven't these trees been cut down away from the power lines so something like this couldn't happen again? And so NES said, well, you guys don't want us to cut down the trees. So what they started to do was cut into the trees. And I don't know if you, over the years, have seen just odd-shaped trees around power lines and power poles. That's because they didn't want to cut down the trees, but they did cut down the limbs into the tree so that the tree would then grow around the power lines. It looked ridiculous, but over the years, those trees have continued to grow. More trees get planted, and here we are again, the same thing happening. Instead of, like Sam described from this gentleman that called, instead of cutting them back completely away from the power lines. So here we are again. I mean, it doesn't happen very often, thank God, that we get this kind of ice.
Right.
But I would think that you would have learned from the mistakes that were made, 3 decades ago. It's insane.
I cut down my trees in my front yard. I would like to say it was because I wanted to protect the power lines, but I was sick of the leaves. And my wife made me do it. But
you didn't want to rake.
That's exactly right.
Well, they hide your inflatables.
They hide my... You know what? There is a lot more room for my inflatables around the holidays. All right, Pamela, thank you very much. I appreciate the insight as somebody who's been around here forever, and we'll talk again soon. You guys really do talk about me, don't you, Joan? All the time.
Well,
Probably every show you're texting back and forth. Did you hear the dumb thing that he said today? I know you too.
No, it's never, no. No,
it's like your current wife and your ex-wife are talking to each other. I'm totally kidding. Whatever. Moving right along. All right. It is 7:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WT. Do you know what's so funny, Joan? Every ill in the world can be traced back to Democrats. Like the tree huggers.
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yes. It's common sense is missing there. It's all about the emotion. Oh, don't harm the beautiful trees. They're living creatures. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that common sense thing that's just missing.
Well, one of the things we could do is like we could incorporate an electric chainsaw in the intro, coming up at like 7:30, just to encourage people, trim your trees. Allow NES or whoever it is that is it NES that trims the trees, or is it?
Yeah, they actually employ people who work. I think they call them vegetation. Something, there's like a formal word for it, but they're tree trimmers.
No, they're not arborists. You don't have to be an arborist to cut down a tree.
That's the easiest person to get a hold of to trim trees.
Yeah, I had an arborist come out to my house.
I thought you said you did it.
You think I cut down my own trees?
It's what I heard. I cut down the trees in my yard. I paid somebody else to do it.
I paid somebody to make sure that when the trees were cut down, they didn't land on my house. Which, if I cut down the trees, that's exactly what would have happened.
You would have ended up on YouTube.
We wandered into how long has Tom Homan been married, and I don't know why we did, but Sam and I both agree that Tom Homan has probably been married for upwards of 30, 35, 40 years.
45.
45. See, I was right.
45 years. They've been married since 1980.
I bet you her name is like Mildred.
Elizabeth. And she's pretty.
Is she?
Yeah, she's pretty. They have 4 children together.
Yeah.
Now, here's the sad part. In June, he told the Miranda Devine podcast that they live separately. Now, he's talked about this before. They have to live separately because of the number of death threats on his life.
Wow.
He tries to see her as often as he can. They have to kind of meet. And it's how sad is that? But she understands, she gets it. He left government service and went into the private sector for a while, made boatloads of money because he was in the private sector when President Trump called him. And he said, I have to go back. And she said, dude, it's a big cut in your pay to go back to government service. And he said, when the president calls, you can't say no.
What a guy.
Yeah.
So what was the medal? There was, then I'm going to get to this story, but there was a picture that skyrocketed across social media, and it was Barack Obama giving Tom Homan a medal. What was that medal?
Oh.
Yeah, because, originally I had thought, is this a meme, a joke? But then I realized, no. Obama gave him a medal.
Yeah, it was the Presidential Rank Award for Distinguished Service in 2015. This is one of the highest honors for career federal executives in the U.S. Civil Service, recognizing sustained extraordinary achievement, leadership, and contributions to public service. Homan received it for his role as the Executive Associate Director of Enforcement and Removal Operations at U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So he got that award being like a second-tier leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why he deserved the big job.
Yeah, and he helped deport a whole bunch of people under Obama, and now he's doing it under Trump. I would be willing to bet that Trump is going to give him like a bigger medal just to outdo Obama. You know what I mean? And just to trigger the people on the left. All right, so...
One more thing about Mrs. Homan.
Yes.
In that podcast, he said, she told me you need to go back into government service or we'll get divorced because if you don't go back, you'll be waking up every day pissed off that you didn't go back. And I've got to live with 4 more years of you being pissed off. So go back and do the job.
Do you know what's so funny?
She sounds awesome.
Well, she does sound awesome. Yeah. And do you know that is exactly what Amy said to me when I stayed at the hotel in Nashville during the ice storms. She said, you can, and I talked about this before. Just give me 1 second. So, the big question was, am I going to stay home and try to broadcast from home? But what if I end up with a power outage and I'm off the air for 3 days? Because then I can't get out of the subdivision and all that kind of stuff. And Amy, she pretty much said the same thing, which is, I know you, and if you stay home and then you're off the air, you are going to be impossible to live with. So for the love of all that is holy, go stay at a hotel. And because she knows me, and so off I went to the hotel.
She's awesome too.
She is some kind of awesome, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Little wifey wife. All right, let's see here. What is you want to do? Do you want to drop in? I shouldn't do this.
Do you want to drop into what he's saying?
Yeah, real quick.
All right, here
real
we
quick.
go.
Tom Homan.
And we want to make sure we do target enforcement operations. And look, I will say it again. We are not surrendering our mission at all. We're just doing it smarter.
Shimon Prokopez from CNN. Mr. Homan, how did we get here in terms of you had Greg Bovino, who was the face of this immigration operation, the mission, as you say, to having border patrol agents in the interior of this country stopping U.S. citizens, asking them for ID, creating this fear in places like Chicago, and now here. And then finally, it took really the death of Alex Petty for us to get here. How did that happen? Who made the decisions to allow
Joe Biden let a bunch of illegal
this kind
aliens
of
into our
operation
country, you moron.
to proceed in this way and to create such fear?
People.
Well, look, the Border Patrol, last 4 years under Joe Biden, we had an open border
There you
where
go.
There you go.
10, 12,000 people a day are coming across the border. Border Patrol got overwhelmed, which means we sent thousands of ICE agents down there to help deal with that humanitarian crisis, help secure the border. Now we have millions of people released in this nation, many unvetted. Now we got to find them. Before the big, beautiful bill, we had a total just under 5,000 deportation officers to look for millions of people, many in public safety threats. So yes, we needed Border Patrol to come and help on our mission now. And reason for the massive deployment is because of the threats, because of the violence. Our officers need to be protected. If I'm on an operation, an arrest team, I'm going to a house, I got to be busy with that guy, the dangerous guy, and I can't keep looking over my shoulder at what's happening outside the house.
Yep.
So we brought extra resources in to provide that security. And as I said, as we drill down on these great agreements we got and this great understanding we have means less. So we can draw down those resources. When the violence decreases, we can draw down those resources. But based on the discussions I've had with the governor and the AG, we can start drawing down those resources as far as those looking for public safety threats being released and do it in the jail with much less people. So the drawdown is going to happen based on these agreements. But the drawdown can happen even more if the hateful rhetoric and the impediment and interference will stop. So Border Patrol, I was a Border Patrol agent. These men and women are patriots. God bless them. They're here to help us. And the drawdown will come soon, depending on when this actually, I see this in play. But the agreements to have alone is going to cause a significant drawdown. So you're going to see a drawdown.
Ben, go ahead. Just on a personal,
Go ahead, Ben.
you've been doing this
Ben,
for
go
40
ahead.
years. Just a
Tom Homan.
follow-up.
Ben, go ahead. No.
First off, Ben Burkbaum, Real America's Voice News. On behalf of the American people, I just want to say thank you to you and to all of the agents that are putting their lives on the line to go after the people that were allowed in the last administration. We watched that happen in the media, the honest media, covered up by many of the media that are behind me. We want to say thank you, and to all the men and women that are out there. Can you talk to us about what's being done with the leadership on these signal chats, on these WhatsApp chats that are organizing the attacks against you, the obstruction against you? Are we going to be arresting those individuals as well? And to the folks out there in America that voted for this, that want mass deportations because they saw a mass invasion under Joe Biden, what would you say to them? How are we going to get to that point?
Well, first of all, about the organization and the funding of the attacks on ICE. I'm not going to answer a lot about that because I'm not going to show our hand, but they'll be held accountable. Justice is coming.
Ooh, yeah.
Again, we got to all remember why the questions from CNN, why are we here? What started this? 4 years of an open border where millions of people are letting this country unvetted. Remember, let's not forget, for 4 years, we were told the border's secure. 4 years, we were told the border's secure. And we all knew it wasn't. And I want this to be a positive thing we're doing here today. I also want to remember the politicians are continually attacking us. Where were they the last 4 years when the number of women and children sex trafficking went all-time high? Mm-hmm. Where were they when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border? Mm-hmm. Where were they when women and children are dying making that journey? Where were they when over 4,000 aliens making that journey died? Historic record. Where were they? Not a word. Now we're just trying to respond to what happened the last 4 years and keeping this country safe. And we're arresting a lot of public safety threats, take them off the streets, which make this country safer. President Trump promised to make this country safe again, and that's what we're doing. But my 2.5 days up here, we made a lot of progress. I think everybody agrees on the criminal and public safety threats. They agree it's much safer and easier to arrest an alien in a facility than send a whole team out in the field that's going to draw anger because now we got to send a bunch of people to do something that could have been done by one or two people. And I've said this for years. I have no ill will to anybody in Minnesota. All the people I talk to, we're never going to agree on everything. We have different philosophies and different opinions on immigration, but we all agree this is a way to go to reduce safety, reduce crime, not reduce safety, reduce crime and increase safety for our operations. More people in the jail means less people on the street. It's simple math.
He is Tom Homan. That dude, Joan, is a walking soundbite. And he's right. I mean, you look at, because he talked about how these local municipalities need to work with ICE when they've got these bad guys inside the facilities instead of letting them back out onto the street. And he's not saying anything that Kristi Noem wouldn't say. He's not saying anything that Greg Bovino, DHS Secretary and Border Patrol head, he's not saying anything that they wouldn't say as well. And so I don't know if a new face from the Trump administration is going to be able to work with these folks any better than Kristi Noem or Greg Bovino was able to. But as we talked about yesterday, Tom Homan, he's got the street cred. Mm-hmm. And he's got, of course, 45 years. But, what's that dude's name from CNN? Shimon Pukapez? What is his name?
Who knows? Is that the guy that asked the first question that we went in on?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to, you know what, Shimon, whatever the hell his name is, I'm going to call him Shimon Poo-Poo-Head.
Shimon Procupez.
Shimon Poo-Poo-Head.
Yeah.
Is
Shimon
what I'm going to call
Porcupine.
him. I'm like in third grade. But, I mean, I feel dumber for listening to that question.
That question was insanely stupid. And that is, that's the approach of CNN. He's just reflecting the approach CNN takes to news.
But, Joan, how did we get here? How did we get here? And I'm like screaming, open border for 4 years, man. Yeah. Come on, Shimon Poo-Poo Head.
He also pointed something out a few minutes earlier. I was listening in. I didn't know this. Apparently, the Minnesota State Prison System and the Department of Corrections, they've been cooperating the whole time. It's only in Minneapolis that we have this issue.
Wow.
All right.
If they would just open that's part of the agreement that he was talking about, that now ICE agents will be able to go. They'll tell them when they've got a detainer when there's somebody in the jail that has a detainer. And they'll, in practice, they should be able to go and pick these people up and then deport them.
But why didn't they do this with Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino? I mean, the policy is the same. The sanctuary policies are the same.
Yes.
Why wouldn't they do that with Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino? Why is it now we got to bring in Tom Homan for these local jurisdictions
street cred?
Okay.
He's got street cred. I mean, he's the man.
Yeah, he's tall. He's intimidating. He's got a very deep voice that's commanding of a room. I'm not knocking Noem or Bovino, but neither one of those people, amount to that. Bovino's kind of short, and we know how people treat women in politics.
Thank you, Sam, for saying the quiet part out loud. It's true.
Is it?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, what did they do? They called her, Immigration Barbie or whatever for a while.
Ice Barbie.
Ice Barbie.
Yeah, Kristi Noem was called Ice Barbie, and I don't know about Bovino, but and I don't know how tall Tom Homan. How tall is Tom Homan? I don't even know. Anyway, yeah. I mean, maybe. Was Kristi, I don't know. What do you think? Was Kristi Noem the wrong choice to lead DHS then? Department of Homeland Security? If that's the way and I don't know if women are treated that way in politics or not. I mean, it would seem to make sense that there's some sexism everywhere.
Sure.
So, I don't know. Was Kristi Noem then the wrong choice for DHS?
I don't think so. I think that she actually does a really good job.
Yeah.
But she's just not getting.
Well, she threw Stephen Miller under the bus. Did you see that from yesterday?
Yeah,
we had so much stuff going on yesterday. I don't remember if I talked about this, but Kristi Noem said that when she said that that Predit was brandishing a weapon and that he wanted to massacre ICE agents. She said that information came from Stephen Miller. And so
Ruh-roh.
she threw Stephen Miller right under the bus. So as people are asking if Kristi Noem is going to either get fired or leave her post, she's not going down quietly. She said Stephen Miller is the one that gave me that information, and Stephen Miller ultimately in a release to the Daily Mail, he stepped back on those comments. He sort of walked those comments back. So there is a definite power struggle that is going on right now within the White House. How tall is Tom Homan?
He's only 5'10".
Yeah, I think it's more the attitude that he comes at you with.
Dude walks with a swagger.
Yeah.
He's broad for 5'10". I'll give him that.
Yeah.
It does not come across that way, and I guess just the camera likes him.
Well, the camera likes him. He does have street cred. He does have. Do you know what else he has, Joan?
What's that?
He has, and this is why the photo of him getting that medal from Obama was so important. He's got the credibility of somebody who has worked on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
And so I don't believe you can say that about Kristi Noem, and I don't believe you can say that about Greg Bovino. I could be wrong, but I think that he does have that credibility of somebody that has worked with Barack Obama and obviously with Donald Trump as well. By the way, when he was talking about the amount of people, the women that have been raped and the children that had been trafficked and all you could hear a pin drop in that room.
Yeah.
I mean, that was incredibly powerful. So anyway.
He did a podcast, and I want to say that it's with Joe Rogan, in which he told a story about when he first, maybe it wasn't when he was first doing Border Patrol, and it was about a young boy that was killed, because they would pack him in the back of trucks and, drive across the border, and the death of this one boy. And he had a young son at the time, about the same age, and it ate at him, and he actually had to take time off. I think I remember him saying, because it affected him so deeply, and that's his passion. That's where his passion comes from. The children that are trafficked.
He simply wants to save people.
He does.